Hi, guys. Okay, so a few years ago for my 26th birthday, I really wanted to do something wild, something completely out of my comfort zone. I had been a control freak for so long, Google Calendar was totally my best friend. So I just really wanted to shake things up, and I came up with the great idea to go skydiving, and I talked myself into making the reservation and actually showing up at the facility. And the first thing I had to do, of course, was sign my life away. I have never signed so many waivers and release forms in my life, and I realized that I was agreeing to not sue these people if they left me severely disfigured, no big deal, or if they accidentally killed me during the jump. So that sucked. I thought like I would be dead and broke. Like that doesn't sound like a good deal, but it's something I wanted to do, so I just put my name down and would just go for it. If you've ever been skydiving, you know that there are a lot of things out of your control. There's a lot of waiting. Sometimes the weather just decides to act up and you have to wait for the clouds to pass. Sometimes there are so many students before you, so just a lot of waiting around. So I was just, observing the facility. I made sure to go over to the parachute packers, slip them a $20 bill so they know to like pack my chute extra well. But most of my time was actually spent just looking up at the sky as the students were jumping before me, and it was just such a beautiful sight because they looked like just tiny ants just like whizzing through the sky, and every time like a parachute would open, it was like a blob of paint just being splattered across the cloud. It was so cool. So eventually Robbie walks over, and he's my tandem instructor, and he's super professional, super nice. I'm feeling really safe, like I'm in good hands. But something that tandem instructors think is just hilarious to do, they give you like a pre-jump interview, and they find it funny to ask, like in case we don't make it, hypothetically, if the parachute doesn't open, like, do you have any last words? And so I'm just like, take care of my cat. And it was like so anticlimactic, but I was not prepared to give this like grand in case I die speech. So shout out to my cat. So we walk over to this super tiny plane. I'm starting to get really nervous at this point. This plane is just super tiny. I'm looking out the window. Everything looks so far away. I'm seeing like what looks like doll houses and just like patches of green and brown. And eventually I see clear blue sky, which means we're high enough to jump. Now, because I was actually the last person to walk into the plane, actually meant I would be the first one to jump out. So Robbie straps me to his chest like a helpless toddler, and we do this like awkward like crab hobble over to the cabin door, and a gush of wind immediately punches me in the face, and I realize like what I'm about to do. And Robbie is, screaming in my ear. He's like, "You ready, Shavonne?" I'm like, 26, yeah, like let's do it. And we fall out, and I was not ready. I was not ready at all for that sensation. It felt like I was choking on like icebergs. I couldn't see anything because my hair was just in my face. My face was distorting, which was the worst part of all because I'm aware of the GoPro camera strapped on Robbie's wrist, and I'm also aware that I paid extra for a video package. And like I'm so confused because I've seen photos of people skydiving, and they like, how are they smiling? I don't get it. Like it's a scam. But Robbie taps me on my shoulder, which is like the signal that I can let go of my harness straps and kind of just like let myself fly. And so I do that for a second, and I just allow myself to surrender, to let go, and let myself be that tiny ant, whizzing through the sky. And thank God our parachute opened so we could paint colors onto the cloud as well. And yeah, before I knew it, we were just walking down on the ground. Our feet had landed safely on the earth, which had meant I'd done it. I'd done this crazy thing. I had this cool story to tell next time I went like speed dating, or like if I showed up at the Moth and like my name actually got pulled out of a hat or something. So that was cool. But I think the biggest lesson I learned is that although people sometimes go skydiving as this like bucket list thing, that for me it really took falling at 100 miles per hour from over 13,000 feet up in the air to realize that I just can't control everything, and sometimes that's okay. Thank you.